Hi my wonderful Wyrdlings, this is Beyond Authentic, where we focus on all things weird and witchy. My name's Lisa and today's video is another unbagging, unboxing, reveal. It's the Total Tarot collection. I think this is parts 4 and 5. Okay, before I go any further, the dogs are up on the sofa with me. As you may well know, my other half is away at the moment, so the dogs have a lot of separation anxiety. So as much as possible when I'm filming, I try and have them sort of around me. That means I do a lot of the filming in this room rather than in the back room where you're probably used to me being. So yeah, so if you can hear dog noises and things in the background, drinking, snuffling, all of that, if that's going to be a problem for you, I totally understand if you need to click off this video. But as I say, the dogs are our children, they are our fur babies, so they are around because they need to be right now. But I will totally understand, I won't hold it against you if that's going to be too much for you as sort of background noises. Anyway, let's get into this, shall we? So this is how it's arrived. There is a address sticker on the front with my address on, obviously. So yeah, I have just I just opened that to make sure that this was what I thought it was. It wasn't like some other random leaflet or, you know, questionnaire or something that I've ordered turn up, but it is definitely the tarot one. So then let's have a little look see at this. Is it both issues? Oh, it is both issues. Fabulous. That's really good then, because it means that we've got a full tarot deck turning up. So this is parts 4 and 5, which means we get the Thelema deck. Oh, now that's interesting. If you haven't seen the first video that I've done unboxing this, I'll put the link just up there. This video isn't sponsored or anything like that. I decided to sign up for this with my own money. Currently, I think I'm still paying $7.99 a fortnight. I should have dropped it down to $6.99 because I'm basically paying extra to get a load of David Bowie inspired stuff that I can get offline anyway and out of this sort of collection. So I think I'm going to do that. So yeah, we open it up and there's a little bit about reading for yourself. Let me just put my glasses on. So I do readings for myself quite often, actually. So yeah, this is really interesting, talking about past fears of the future and the modern approach to how you can actually read for yourself. And then we go into quite a bit of detail, actually. I think this is obviously using the, this is actually using the vice versa deck, which we're getting with parts 12 and 13. I do quite like that it gives us sort of a sneak peek of what's to come, and then you can choose, you know, maybe you think, oh, I don't like that deck, so maybe I won't get those issues. Or in my case, I do actually think that's quite a nice looking deck, so it is one that I may well have to pick up, even if I don't still subscribe to it on a monthly basis or fortnightly basis. So then we've got a tarot techniques piece all about future possibilities. So that's interesting. And this is then focusing on the John Bower tarot. And this is the one that's coming in issues 14 and 15. Again, that's another deck I'm quite interested in getting hold of. So maybe I will carry on for a little bit. I don't know. Then we've got tarot spreads. Oh, a spread for greater wisdom. A 6-card spread. That's interesting. What does it say? It says we've got, the first card is what I think. Then we've got what my inspirations are, my creativity, the insight, where I am, and the greater wisdom. That's interesting then. I mean, this is one of the things that this is quite good for, in giving us some different spreads and some different ways of looking at it. Even, as I say, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years now, over 25 years reading tarot, but I'm always up for new spreads and new things and new ways of looking at the cards, because I think it helps us to grow, doesn't it? We've got then, they've done a sample kind of reading using the Golden Dawn, not Golden Dawn, what's it called? The Golden Art Nouveau deck, the ones that we're getting as our collection. So they've done a sample sort of reading there, and then they explain sort of what that is and what that would mean. Then we've got our visual reference to the Thelema Tarot, which is the one for these parts. That is really beautiful, actually. It really is a beautiful looking deck. And then we've got our card in detail, my favorite. It's, look at her, it's the Empress. So let's see what they've got to say about the Empress then. In fact, let's do the breakdown, because this is always interesting. So the crown, it says the Empress wears a crown of 12 stars. Absolutely. It's a symbol of rule and authority that reflects her dominion over fertility, reproduction, and creativity. Okay. Okay, I understand. Again, this is based on the Rider-Waite. It says the scepter, her ceremonial scepter, expresses her power over the material world. It also indicates her combination of intellectual and emotional intelligence. Okay, not sure I get that from a scepter. The throne, it says the Empress sits on a throne representing stability and her intellectual capacity to rise above trivial thoughts and concerns. To me, the throne represents that sort of authority, but it's not the authority that the High Priestess brings or that the Hierophant brings. It's not like stamping authority. This is authority that we give the Empress. Because obviously we've seen across the world throughout the last 100 years, royalties and lineages have failed because the people have decided they no longer want that. But with the Empress, she sits on that throne. Yes, she has the power, but she's got that power because we're giving it to her. So I find that, you know, interesting. The heart and Venus signs that we've got there, absolutely. It says these indicate the female nature of the Empress and her ability to rule and nurture without strife or violence. Again, I think some of this is quite outdated in the iconography. And then we've got nature here, which is talking about water and plants. This is her intimate connection to the power of life and vital energies. Interesting, they didn't mention the pomegranates on her outfit and the sort of this gold element, because quite often the Empress is seen as abundance. But this is very much, this isn't just nature, this is wheat. And this is representing that abundance, because again, if you were somebody that you had fields of wheat, it meant you were never going to go hungry because you had the wheat for flour, for bread, for all of those things to feed your nation. That's where the abundance comes from for me with the Empress. Yes, the symbols of power, you know, the gold scepter, the crown, all of that. But for me, the true abundance and the nurturing aspect comes in feeding the people. And you do that by the wheat. So it's really interesting that they've completely kind of failed to mention that at all. And this is going to be one of the things that I'm going to have issues with this collection in their sort of determinations and sort of descriptions of the cards and what the cards mean. I don't know. I think that misses a lot of the nuances, particularly because the Empress is very, very often associated with abundance. It's kind of like abundance, nurture, fertility are kind of the three main buzzwords with her. So interesting that they've not mentioned sort of abundance here at all in any of the symbolism. I think they've missed a trick there. I mean, I get that it is just for beginners, but you know, I do think they've missed a trick. So then we then talk about different aspects of the Empress, and we've got a really nice sort of row across the bottom of different depictions of the Empress. Talks a little bit about reversals, and then we go into the deck that we're getting with these two collections, which is the Thelema deck or the Thelema deck. We've got a depiction and keywords for the major and the minor arcana there, and a couple of images, and then back in the back to the glossary. So yes, it says practice makes perfect, and again talks about some more tarot habits there to build. Okay, so it doesn't look as if we're getting a deck in focus sort of separate section with this. No, we're not. Okay, there's a little card here which says we're really sorry. It says, dear Total Tarot subscriber, we are really sorry, but due to circumstances beyond our control, we have not been able to deliver your Total Tarot journal with this delivery as planned. We've done everything within our power to ensure that these gorgeous journals were produced in plenty of time to reach you as scheduled. Unfortunately, due to an international shipping delay, they haven't made it to the UK on time. Therefore, you'll receive your Total Tarot journal with issues 6 and 7 together with your Total Tarot crystals, which means you can look forward to 2 free gifts with your next delivery. Once again, we're extremely sorry for this unfortunate delay. Happy taroting. Okay. I mean, it happens, you know, I guess. So I will maintain it for another month at least, just to get that, because I really wanted that journal, to be fair. I wanted to see what it was all about, especially because we've got this sort of High Priestess depiction on the front of it. But yes, so okay, I forgive them for that. You know, things happen. So we've got the box for the Thelema Tarot, and let's just... To be fair, I was a little bit disappointed at the quality of these boxes until I realised that these are pretty much the standard Lo Scarabeo boxes. It's just that they've been reprinted for this particular collection. We've got the first, or the next two of the Golden Art Nouveau deck. So we've got the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles there. So before I go on to the cards themselves, I will just look at the next issue of the magazine, seeing as we've got the two of them. So we've got choosing a deck, it says. I'm actually about to film a video about choosing a deck. So that's really interesting that this has come up already. I mean, that's just synchronicity, really, isn't it? So I was also telling us that we're getting the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot with issues 10 and 11. So that's fascinating. Then we go into about keeping a tarot diary. That would be nice if we had the journal for that. I mean, that's that's funny. That is funny. Look, oh, here's a whole thing about keeping a journal, and then we don't have the journal to keep it in. But I do agree. I mean, I do actually have a tarot journal. This is my tarot journal, actually. So yeah, I do have a tarot journal myself, but I'm always interested in more. Then we've got a very standard spread, the Celtic cross spread. This is one that you will see in an awful lot of books and an awful lot of tarot readers use. It is a very, very, very sort of standard 10 card spread. I don't use the Celtic cross. I use kind of an adapted version of a 7 card spread personally. But anyway, we've got the cover card. So this tells us the nature of the question. We've got the cross, which tells us the obstacles and challenges. The crown, which is the top one there, stands for the querent's goal. The foundation card, which is underneath that, talks about the origin of the situation. The past is the past, what led to it. The future symbolizes the near future events. And then we go from the bottom up. That's interesting. I normally go top down, but interesting. We go, this is the self, so the attitude about how we approach the situation or the question. We've got the other, represents how other people see that issue. The hopes and fears, so the hopes and fears for the querent, the person that you're reading for. And then the final result, the outcome card, a standard Celtic cross spread there. That's really interesting. It's good that we're getting, I mean, it's quite a detailed spread that to be in the first sort of what, this is part 5. So within the first few issues. Then we go into the visual reference of the Thelema Tarot, and we talk about the breakdown of that sort of example Celtic cross spread. Then we talk about the Emperor. Again, very, very standard imagery. Again, very sort of quite old-fashioned imagery. It's the Rider-Waite, so what's what you would expect. We've got a breakdown of the symbols very similar to the Empress. I'm not going to go through that with every single card because they will be sort of quite monotonous, really. You can read that for yourself if you wanted to. Then we've got lots of depictions, again, of the Emperor from different decks. Some of these we are getting. So the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot, as I say, with parts 10 and 11. We've got the Vice Versa again there, and the Marseille Tarot again, telling us when those ones are turning up in our collections. Oh, and then we've got the World of Tarot, a feature all about Arthur Edward Waite. That's going to be an interesting thing to read. I wasn't expecting that, so we're delving into some of the people behind the tarot system, so that's really cool. And then back to our glossary, and again a few more sort of details there about the practice elements. So so yes, pop that to one side. Let's get into the cards themselves then, shall we? So this is what the deck looks like. I've taken my glasses off so I can actually see the true colours, because obviously I have tinted lenses because of my eyes and the bright lights. But I will just sort of, I just want to see what they look like, you know, without that extra tint on. So we've got the Fool. That's really interesting. A gender swap for the Fool. Again, I don't believe the tarot should be gendered. I think it's actually talking about more about those archetypes rather than talking about gender norms and gender stereotypes. So I like the fact that we've got a female, stereotypically female depicted Fool. That's a really lovely card. You can't see the cliff so much. It's not sort of on the edge of the cliff, and there's no dog there. So again, quite like the differences there with that one. The Magician. You've got the tools. The High Priestess. I love the depictions on this. It's almost photorealism. I don't know whether it's sort of, they've used photos and then adapted them. Here's my gorgeous, look at that. Look at the Empress. Wow. That is a proper Earth Mother, Gaia sort of real sort of divinity of the power of the earth herself. Look at that. I think that is stunning. I mean, this card, this one card in virtually every deck, I have something to say about, because I have such a strong connection to this card. I really, really do. That is beautiful. The Emperor. Oh, quite a stern Emperor there. Look, very, very stern. Then we've got the Hierophant. Now, I had to have a double look then because it almost looks like the same person. So it's almost like this is the political leader and this is the spiritual leader. Very interesting. I would love to have the guidebook for this, you know, the actual guidebook, to see what the authors and what the artists were wanting to convey from the deck. We've got the Lovers, a very romantic image there with sort of quite a traditional angelic kind of image. And then these two getting a little bit jiggy in the water. We've all been there, haven't we? The Chariot, quite a standard depiction of the Chariot. I don't mind it. Again, winged figure though. So again, talking about riding into battle. Quite a traditional strength card with that lion. The Hermit, again, very, very traditional Rider-Waite sort of imagery here, just sort of giving a bit of a modern twist and a bit of a punch. Again, I do quite like it. You can almost feel just about to walk into the cave, isn't he? Like that a lot. And then the Wheel, so not the Wheel of Fortune, it is just the Wheel in this deck. So just the Sphinx at the top. Quite often you see those other images dotted around. So yeah, that's interesting. Justice. She is beautiful. Look at that. Justice, this time the scales are actually built on top of a sword. Wow, the Sword of Justice. That is gorgeous. The Hanged Man. Really interesting. Look at this. Yes, he's there. He's got the standard sort of half smile on his face. But the rope is actually a snake. That is really interesting. That is really interesting. Oh, I like that. I like this deck so far. Oh, a very spooky death card. There's no sort of modern twist. This hasn't been renamed or anything. This is a very standard depiction of death and the White Charger. I love the fact in the Terry Pratchett books, the White Charger is called Binky. I love that. Just love that. Just thought I'll throw that in there. But I'm loving that card. Absolutely beautiful imagery. Quite a standard sort of Temperance, again giving a bit of a modern sort of colourful twist, but the image is very similar. The angel with the two sort of water carriers being poured from one to the other. The Devil, look at that sexy devil. Look at that there. Look at those come to bed eyes. I mean, it's not bed, is it? He's asking you to do all sorts of other things. You know what I'm saying? You can see the figures in the background. You can see an upturned pentacle, which is very interesting. There is a pentagram here, look, in the background with the 2 points above. So we're talking about the physical over the spiritual with this card, which is really interesting. And I can't see whether he's holding chains or like curved daggers. It'll be interesting if that was the chains, because quite often with the devil, the chains is talking about addiction and things feeling out of your control, and you're trapped in those sort of situations. So yeah, that's a really interesting card. The Tower, again, stunning. Very, very standard kind of image, the tower being hit by lightning, but just look at the take that we've got on that card. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. We've got the Star. Ethereal. Look at that card and tell me that ethereal doesn't immediately come to mind. Stunning card. And then the Moon. Look at that. Very contemplative, in a sort of pool of contemplation. We don't have the dog, and sometimes it's a wolf or a hare or the scarab howling at the moon in this image. It is just this lone figure lost in thought with their own contemplation, as some crows maybe. It's not bats, I think it is crows, or some other, you know, birds of prey just fly across the moon there in the background. Again, it's this sort of mythical kind of element to it, isn't it? Love it. It's almost Arthurian, isn't it? I don't know why I'm getting that impression from this deck. The sun, not just one child in this. We've got some children in the full summer sun with daisies and things in the background there, or dandelions, or it could even be fairies, actually. I think it may be fairy folk dancing around in the gorgeous summer sun. And there are the astrological signs around the sun. And I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but oh yeah, look at that. The sun is actually a rose. That is beautiful, with those rolling hills and mountainscape in the background. Wow. Judgment. Oh, I got the feels on this one. Look at that. So Judgment is normally the angelic figure with the trumpet or the bugle, calling the lost souls, calling the souls of the departed up to receive their final judgment. Whereas this one, it almost looks like the soul is in their hand. Look, they're holding the soul. They're looking at everything they've done. This is that disembodied soul. This is the essence of ourselves being judged from on high. You've got this horn is almost like the horn of plenty as well. Absolutely stunning. The world. Oh, again, look how beautiful that is. Again, it takes that Rider-Waite imagery and it just expands it and gives it that real mythical modern twist. I'm loving that. Absolutely loving that. Now, yes, it's called the world. They haven't renamed it, but that just looks universal to me. That looks absolutely universal. If somebody asks me how I kind of envisage that universal energy that unites all of us, that is the essence of the earth, our planets and life itself, it's something similar to this. That sort of, you know, holding planets and stardust and all of those things together and forming life and forming creation all around everything. I know, right? I'm turning into a right old hippie at heart. But yeah, look at that. That is stunning. If I ever think about deity in that sort of concept, you know, that idea of that sort of goddess or god, universal energy, something like this normally does spring to my mind, actually. So yeah, so that's really interesting. And then we've got the suit. So I'm not going to go through these in quite as much detail. I'm just going to kind of flick through them quite quickly because we have got 56 more cards to get through, unless some of them really kind of make me go, ooh. So then we've got the Ace of Cups, like that. It's sort of, it's very angelic. I will say this deck does have a sort of Christian feel because we've got the dove imagery coming in throughout. So there is a lot of that sort of Christian iconography there. I don't think it's too much. It's just a little hint of it. If you know to look for it, it's there. If you don't want to acknowledge it, it's not kind of all encompassing. It's not going to take you out of, you know, using this deck. I think that's a really nice balance for that. So then we've got the Ace, the Two of Cups, the Three, the Four of Cups. Interesting. Again, you've got this real ethereal sort of mystical, mythic kind of quality about it. I do really think there is this almost Arthurian sort of, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw unicorns and things like that in this deck. You know what I mean? It's got that sort of almost fantasy, mythical element about it. Then we've got the Court card. So we've got the Page of Cups. So dressed as a dandy of indeterminate gender, and there is a fish jumping out of this cup here. I don't know if you can see that. Like that a lot, actually. Really interesting portrayal. Then we've got the Knight. Look at that. On their horse, off, ready to go off and charge off and do what their heart is calling them to do. Then we've got a very beautiful ethereal queen, again giving us that sort of almost high priestess type energy, dressed all in blue. And the king, look at that, a very regal, very young looking king, but a very regal looking king with that blue. And again, a dove there in the background, and this almost sort of holy grail type cup imagery, again coming back to that sort of Christian iconography. Oh, the Pentacles is next. That is rather beautiful. Look at that. The gates are opening up to whole new possibilities with this card in the work and financial. You are being invited in. Look, is this a secret garden? Is this a secret society? Is this a wealthy country house that you are being invited into? Maybe you're being given the keys of. Oh, lots and lots and lots of bits and pieces coming up with that. There's also a hare there. I don't mean like human hair, I mean like a hare. So again, wealth. What do hares do? They reproduce. They go at it like bunnies, don't they? And so that produces an awful lot of meat, an awful lot of fur, an awful lot of a lot of life. So there is all of that abundance there as well. Really interesting card, actually. I know I said I wasn't going to go through and talk about each card in depth, but that, just in first impressions, that is beautiful. I really want to get the guidebook for this now. I might have to have a look into that and see if I can pick up a guidebook. Oh, wow. Okay, this suit is really interesting because we go from that ethereal into a clown on a unicycle with the Two of Cups, Two of Pence, and a sort of a castle or something in the background. Wow. Okay, court jester, clown. Really interesting imagery. The Three of Pence, we shift it up again, some sort of lonely figure. Maybe this is that country house that Ace of Pence was leading us to. You never know. There is definitely this lush sort of woodland or forest scape in the background here through the window. And again, there seems to be... I've just had to put my glasses on and check because I don't really can see here. Without my specs on, it looked like there were 3 cats. It looks like they are vases of water or holding brushes, because it does seem that this character here is holding a very long paintbrush, because there's an artist's easel, an artist's palette rather here, and they seem to be painting onto the window. So they're painting these flowers onto the window. Really interesting depictions. And then we go very different again with the 4 of Pentacles, looking at this sort of treasure. Have they just found the treasure? Have they stolen it? Is it buried treasure? There seems to be the key to this chest. So what is the story behind this? Have they stolen it from the castle, from the kingdom? Really interesting deck. The 5 of Pentacles, again, coming back in with that real sort of Christian element here. This almost looks like a monk, doesn't it, in chambers. The 6, we've got outreached hands, and again, scales of balance. Is this hand coming in from above? Is this placing the pent? Is it taking the pent? Is it giving, or is it taking? Really interesting take on this suit, particularly the 7. And so yeah, this is really talking about, for me, look, you've come here to sow the things that you have reaped. No, to reap the things that you have sown. Look, she's got her basket. She's about to come and pluck all these gold discs growing on the money tree, you know, from her wealth and experience, and she's carrying a sunflower. Maybe this is an offering. Maybe this is kind of, you know, taking a disc and replacing it with a sunflower to actually as an offering to the plant. I don't know. Again, I'm reading a lot into this, aren't I? When I said I wasn't going to. We've got the 8 of Pentacles, busy working away there into the dusk, into the evening moonlight there. Look in the background, still busy working away. Is this a hobby? Is this a job? We don't know. We don't know, but busy working no matter what. The 9, getting a little bit more wealth oriented here. This 9 here almost looks like a crown, doesn't it? Almost like she's wearing a crown. A beautiful dress. And then there's a bird of what looks to be a bird of paradise here as well. Beautiful. Again, is this that same sort of landscape that we were invited into with the Ace? Who knows? And then the 10, look at that. The world of possibilities that comes with that financial ability, the amount of work that you put in, you open up to the world and you have the world at your fingertips. Beautiful. This is such a beautiful suit. I'm loving this. This is really nicely depicted. Again, a really young looking page, off to do battle for the first time, maybe signing up on their first job, off to do all of those medieval things that we know so well. The Knight, oh, look at that, older, wiser, a little bit more beaten down, but still up for the fight, up for the battle. This is not the Knight's first battle, is it? Loving that though. The Queen, again, a very regal image, holding on to the pentacle while also having this beautiful crown here. Look, this very different crown. This isn't the Stark crown. This is a very sort of ethereal almost crown. I'm loving this. I'm loving the greens on this suit for that earth kind of element, which again is something to pick up when you're looking at a different deck. Look at the colors, look at what elements they represent, look at what the colors make you feel. The King of Pentacles, the king was in his counting house counting out his money. Look at that box of treasure, that chest there. He's holding the biggest pentacle of all, and he literally looks like he's up in his castle, feeling very safe and very, very sort of proud of himself for having all of this wealth and having acquired everything. Okay, so now we go to the Ace of Wands. Interesting. It seems to be a staff depicted, but we have just called it wand. But look at that energy from there. So that fire element as well. Look at the colors. This talks of fire. So this is that elemental correspondence that we've got. The 2, again, beautiful colors. The 3 with a journey. Is this an inward journey, outward journey? Are you waiting for this visitor to come a-calling? Is this aspect of you? What are you looking at deep within you? For me, the wands really represents our sense of self, our journey of discovery as to who we are and what our purpose is. So yeah, that for me is all about the wands. But again, look at the colors on this deck. Look at, you can just see, doesn't this smack of fire and warmth? It really does. There's a flag, a banner, possibly wartime. That's interesting because we've got war type elements. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. For me, that would talk about swords rather than wands, but okay. It's definitely a bannerman there. Again, with this arched doorway in the background leading out from a castle. It feels like we're very protected here, very home, very secure, which again is one of my key words for wands. Wow, the 7 of Wands. Look at this. They've put their wands here as protection, and they just stood on the steps guarding their home. Absolutely. Not with a sword, not ready to attack, but just being very mindful of protection. And again, we've got images here in the top with a lion and various other statues. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The 8 of Wands. Again, looks like they dug in the ground. Almost looks like the spikes, doesn't it, from a medieval castle? You know, the ones when they had, you had like an attacking army. You had the spikes and you would hope that the army would kind of just run onto the spikes. Oh dear, I've impaled myself. It's all of that sort of imagery. But this is very much in defense. This feels very defensive. But this is out into the landscape itself. Possibly vultures here circling. Interesting. The 9 of Wands. There's now ivy growing up the protection. So things have been protected for a long time. Everything has been secure for a long time. But are things turning a little bit stagnant maybe? Is this person in need of, you know, cutting out the ivy and refreshing the protection? Or are they quite happy to let things lie as they are? Really, really interesting. Again, with that warmth, but you can just see the crescent moon there in the sky. Potentially. The 10 of Wands. Wow, a very different depiction. This time you've packed up your security and you are taking it with you. So it's no longer about the bricks and mortar security. You've become your own security. You've become your own castle. You don't need the walls around you now because you are literally carrying those walls and carrying that protection with you wherever you go. Fascinating cards. I'm going to really enjoy reading from this deck. I'm telling you, this is a beautiful, beautiful deck. The page, again, very interesting. That light glowing all around them. This looks almost like they've almost cast a circle, you know, using the magic within. It's that sort of security element here. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. The Knight of Wands. So standard, the knight in his armor on the armored steed here, ready to go do battle and joust maybe. But look at the horse's hooves. Is this actually even on the ground? Is this somehow in the ether? Absolutely stunning. Wowza. And the most beautiful queen that I've seen so far. Look at her. Look at that fiery radiance, all dressed in red with her flowing red hair. Her staff is glowing. The sunlight here streaming in and she's holding a sunflower. Lots of growth here. She's very regal, but she is not someone who is going to allow her security to be taken from her, is she? Whether that is metaphysical or whether that is, you know, bricks and mortar security. She is not about to let this, what she's built up, what she's accomplished, be taken away from her. Absolutely stunning. I can't wait for the king. Here you go. You can see the king before I do. Wowza. A slightly more resigned to his fate king. I don't know whether you can see that in his face. I kind of look at it almost like the king is saying, what's done is done. We can't really do any more about it now. We have reached the zenith. We have reached the pinnacle of security and learning about ourselves. You know, if the hordes that are coming to attack, if their numbers are greater than ours and they overwhelm our protection, well, we've done everything we possibly can. We've just now resigned to our fate. Wow. I'm literally getting goosebumps with this deck. And then we've got the Ace of Swords. So again, this is that air element sort of coming in. You can see it in the clouds and in this white. I'm wondering whether we're going to have this white kind of color flowing through this suit. Let's have a look. Certainly with the Two of Swords, I mean, that's really interesting. The sword here, look, I had to stop and pause then. This central character, there's one sword, but this one, look, the sword becomes her arm. You've got the moon in the background. So for me, swords are all about obstacles, the challenges in life, all of those things that we have to overcome. And this really looks like she is embracing the fact that she absolutely needs to embrace that dark side and to embrace the fact that these challenges are going to be hard, so much so that the swords have become a part of her. Wow, really, really, really powerful. Really powerful depiction. Interesting. So the Three of Swords, not piercing a heart, but piercing a rose. And obviously what a rose is linked in with? Love and romance. So it's not an actual heart or a heart shape. It's actually the rose. But if you look, I kind of get the impression that we've got, it doesn't quite go in, but you kind of get, because of the way the sword is positioned, you can almost see the outline of the heart there, the standard sort of heart. And then we've got this figure, bereft, heartbroken, beside themselves, absolutely in tears, huddling themselves close, pulling their knees to their chest in absolute pain while it buckets down with rain. But if you look, there are lights here. There is a chink here in the storm clouds. The light is going to break through eventually, just not right now. But you can see there is hope. Even in the middle of that despair, there is hope. Oh, I'm loving this deck. I have literally got goosebumps. Wow. And then the Four of Swords. Very contemplative, looking within, looking at the challenges. How is this challenge? How is this going to affect you? What do you need to unleash from within yourself? What lesson is it you need to learn? What wisdom is it that you need to uncover? But also, what are the tools that you have to meet this challenge head on from within? Just amazing. I love this deck. The Five of Swords, taking on far too much. You've had to put some in the ground because, you know, you can only carry so much with you. Again, those dark storm clouds rolling in with just that chink of silver lining there. The Six of Swords. Wow, this looks like carrying the souls of the dead across the river Styx, doesn't it? Look at that. Look at that ethereal, ghostly image there on the boat. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. The Seven of Swords, again, very similar to the Five, taking on far too much this time. Look, you're carrying that with you. Is it time to sit down and readdress the situation? Is it time to take stock? Because there is so much going on. You've got so much on your plate right now that things are absolutely falling. The Five is talking about putting a pause in things. This is you scrambling with those Five Swords, but now you've got more to deal with, more hurdles to overcome. You can't do it all. Something has to give. It really does. And this is almost a defensive stance, isn't it? It almost looks like they are gathering up the swords of the fallen and taking them back, backing off, retreating into the castle keep where it's safe. Really, really, really powerful deck. The Eight of Swords with a blind or a blindfolded character here, but protected, maybe protected, because we've got the light here. So maybe these swords are protection, or maybe this person is so in the middle of it. It's kind of, you can't see the wood for the trees. There's so much going on around them. They can't see a way out. Oh, I can't wait to do readings with this deck. The Nine of Swords, again, overwhelmed, absolutely on your last legs, too much to deal with, just too much. Look, these swords are almost coming in the wall from all directions. It's almost like that Iron Maiden. I don't mean the band, I mean like the thing that was stood in with the nails. It's almost like that, where you've got the walls closing in, or like Indiana Jones with the spikes on, and these swords have come in and they've closed and they've locked you into your place, and now that's it, you're stuck in this situation. But again, even in that moment of utter despair, there is this light shining through from without. So, you know, there is always that glimmer of hope, even in the darkness, this moonlight, these beams coming in and illuminating the situation. And then finally, the Ten of Swords. Wow, death of 1,000 cuts. Look at that. All of those swords digging in, stabbed in the back, too much to overcome. You have fallen. You have literally, you're like, you can't take any more. This is almost too much to bear. But then again, we've got these lights. We've got this hope. Can't wait to see the court cards with this suit. Let's have a look. So we've got the page. Wow. No armor on the page, but carrying the sword. It's almost like, you know how in times of war, the innocence, I mean, this is really, really pertinent with what's happening in the world right now. So you've got at times of war, people who aren't trained take up arms, whether that's to defend or to attack for a righteous cause, or a cause they believe is righteous. You know, this is talking about, this person isn't a soldier. This person looks like a farmer, or, you know, a student. This person looks like they are just an innocent one that has been handed a sword and told, when the bad guys come, defend this place. And it's like, they don't know how to use it. They look absolutely scared, senseless. I love the fact that you've also got these sort of flying birds or butterflies in the background. I can't quite make out what they are, to be fair. Even with my glasses on, I can't quite make out what's in the background, whether it's butterflies or birds. But again, it's that air energy, and they are on these clouds, and the light this time is behind them. So again, there's a lot of fear, a lot of innocence here in this card. And again, that feeling of, look how they're holding the sword. Like, they are not used to this. They are not used to this. This is a new battle for them. The Knight, totally different situation. Look at that. That knight is charging into battle right now. They are literally, it's like they are leading the troops. You almost expect to see the hordes behind them. It's almost like that sort of mythical battle you see in like fantasy films like Lord of the Rings, where you've got the Outriders. So this is like one of the Outriders who's coming in, is going to lead their troops into battle. And this is not a knight who is in their first fight. Look at the armor. There's plumes going off. This is a knight who is very proud of their accomplishments. The horse is decked out in all their finery as well. And this is, there's so much movement here. They are on the charge. Absolutely beautiful. Let's look at the Queen. Wow. And then we've got an ethereal, Galadriel, almost sort of queen. Look at her. I was almost expecting like a Boudica, you know, like a warrior queen. This is not that, is it? This is a really ethereal. This is taking the wisdom from those battles, from those challenges. What lessons have you learnt, and applying it? But she still has that sword. And this queen looks like she can handle herself. Yes, she's contemplative. Yes, she talks of wisdom and that ethereal quality of knowledge and sort of learning. But she can still wield that sword if she absolutely has to. And then the King. Wow. Again, look. This is a world-weary king. Again, look at that. Embattled, has been through so much. This king looks almost beaten down, doesn't it? War-weary. But if you notice, the king isn't wearing any armor. So this king knows that when the end finally comes, armor isn't going to save you. It comes down to your own abilities and your own sort of your strength from within at the end of the day to overcome those challenges. All of the armor in the world is nothing at the end of days. It really isn't going to be any good. But they've got this bird of prey here. So is it a hawk or something? Are they sending this as a messenger bird? Is this bird of prey here to pick over the carcasses of the fallen? I don't know, but wow, this is an absolutely beautiful deck. I got a bit carried away there, didn't I, with all of the cards? This is such a beautiful deck. This deck is really, really talking to me. I can hear what it's saying. I can hear its meanings as I'm looking at the pictures. It really is filling my mind with possibilities, and I cannot wait to use this deck in a reading. Now, obviously, when it comes down to tarot, my reaction to this deck could well be very, very different to yours. A deck that you absolutely love could leave me cold, and vice versa. If you haven't had that same gut reaction looking at this deck, if it hasn't given you goosebumps, don't worry about it. It may just be that this deck isn't the right one for you, or the right deck for you at this moment in time. To be honest with you, when I saw the pictures of this deck, I thought, yeah, it's nice. but I haven't had the reaction that I've had literally on camera now as I've been going through it. I am so excited to use this deck now. So make sure, if you want to see me actually putting this deck into practice, make sure you check out my Sunday sessions. Each and every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. UK time, I offer free 3-card readings here on this channel. If that's something you'd like to check out, do come and join us for that, because I think maybe not this week, but very, very soon, you are going to be seeing this deck used for those readings, because I've had a very, very strong connection to it. Just before I wrap up, I was going to show you, wasn't I, the binder, what I've had to do with the binder. So what I ended up doing is using some elastics and threading them from the top to the bottom, because this ridiculous sort of clip system that they've got, I could not figure out how to use it, and every time I was trying to read the magazines or read anything in here, it was just falling out. So that's what I've done. I've just put some elastics in and then threaded the magazine through those in the binder. I am going to say that I don't want another one of these binders, because quite frankly, I'm after the decks, not necessarily all of the magazines. So if they just go in a standard stationery holder, that'll be fine for me. So those are my thoughts about parts 4 and 5 of the Total Tarot collection. Have you signed up for this collection already? Did you sign up on issue 1? Have you been picking it up in a newsagent? Or are you now thinking about subscribing from issue 4 and 5 onwards? To be honest, you could do that. You could sign up at any point through this collection. I would always now recommend you sign up on an even number, because you're going to get the full deck. If you sign up obviously on issue 5, you're just going to get half of the deck. So yeah, make sure if you are wanting to sign up midway through, you sign up on an even numbered issue. The only thing you're really going to miss if you do that is the golden Art Nouveau deck, which, to be honest, you can pick up online anyway, so you're not really missing out on all that much, especially if you're somebody who has used the tarot before. So obviously with each issue you get that full breakdown of each of the individual major arcana cards, so that is something you're going to be missing out on. But to be honest with you, if you've used tarot in the past, if you've got any kind of tarot books, you can pick that knowledge back up at pretty much any point. So overall, would I recommend that you pick this collection up, even from issues 4 and 5? I would, and I'll tell you why. Because for £14, you're getting yourself the Thelema Tarot deck, a brand new copy of this deck, plus other bits of information as well. Obviously, we were supposed to get a journal with that, but we're not going to talk about that because, you know, things happen. But I would say this deck is beautiful. And yes, you could probably pick it up on the secondhand market for, you know, under a tenner. But every single time I am looking on the secondhand market at cards, I have to be very, very, very careful not to end up with one of those dupe decks from China, the ones that are 3/4 size, really badly printed, really bad quality, because an awful lot of sellers on the secondhand market won't say this is a mini deck, and a lot of them won't show you the picture of the front and the back with a little QR code on it, which is always the giveaway, isn't it? So yeah, if you're ever looking at secondhand decks, always ask for the dimensions, or ask to see a picture of the back of the deck, or, you know, the little booklet or whatever it is. Try and make sure you're not getting one of those dupe decks from China. But one way of not getting that is to sign up to this collection. So yeah, I am really excited. I am literally about to end this video and go and take a real deep dive into this deck, because I think this is absolutely stunning and I am so happy to have it. But there you go. Those are all my thoughts about this collection so far and about issues 4 and 5. What are yours? Let me know down in the comment section. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a massive thumbs up. That really helps me out here on YouTube. And if you haven't already, why not hit that subscribe button and then ding your bell and change your settings to all. That way YouTube should notify you each and every time I upload a video, especially as we're now doing the 100 days of divination, a bit more of a deep dive into the tarot system, but I'm also going to be looking at oracle cards, the runes, dowsing, pendulums, all of those different forms of divination. I'm going to be giving a go and seeing what I think of them and trying to learn some different kind of skills. I'm also going to be going back and re-looking at the tarot from scratch, kind of not learning from the beginning again, but kind of going over and just refreshing my knowledge. I'm going to be making some videos to help you learn the tarot as well. So if all of that sounds interesting, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. But that is it for now. And as I always say, stay you, stay safe, stay authentic, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.